Hi, Reece. How's it going?
Hey,
Hey, what's up?
not much. I'm excited for this.
Oh, yeah.
Me too, absolutely. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Fine.
Fine.
I'm just
So,
Hey Reece, Sean.
Sean.
Hey, how's it going?
Good man.
Sean is from Australia. I'm from Germany. Fede is from Argentina.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah, we have 4 continents now here. Very
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
So, well, I discovered your video on Facebook. I think it was a YouTube. I don't remember. And what the fuck? Awesome. You're young. You're the next generation. You're the new ones, you know?
Thank you so
Wow.
much.
How did you come to metal?
Well, our parents, like growing up,
Hey, Bryce.
they were metalheads.
Hey, Bryce, what's up?
Hey
How's
man.
it going?
Perfect. How are you?
I'm doing, guys.
Cool.
Oh.
Well, nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you.
We just said Sean is from Australia, Fede is from South America, from Argentina. I'm from Germany.
Ooh, awesome. Wow, we're spread all over. That's awesome.
Total international round. Yeah, 4 continents today here.
Yeah.
So I just mentioned to Reece, like, I discovered you by chance, like on Facebook or YouTube. I don't know where it was. And wow, really, you're great. You're playing great metal at that age. Like, how did you come to metal?
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think I heard a little bit of what Reece was saying, but our parents were huge metalheads. Like, they were at Ozfest when I was still in the womb. So we've been exposed to metal for our whole lives. And yeah, they've showed us, they got us into metal in the first place.
Wow, awesome, awesome. So you grew up with metal, basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And how is it when you go to school? You're the only metalheads there?
Yeah, we go to a smaller school too, so like we're basically the only people that like metal there.
And how is the feedback? I mean, I can relate a bit. I come from like a small shitty town in Bavaria, and I was like kind of the only metalhead there. So I think I can relate. How is the reactions?
Yeah. A lot of like, as I've grown older, a lot of my friends at least respect it, even if they don't listen to metal. They respect what we do and they're very supportive. It wasn't always like that though. Just because, you know, being kids and in high school and everything, like for the majority of time when we were in Brutality and even in other bands when we were younger, people didn't really get it and they didn't really care. But it never stopped us.
Cool.
Do you have
Awesome.
another bands also?
Yeah, when we were like, when we were really young. I mean, I think I was like,
and
nine
now you're not
when we
young.
were, yeah. When we were like really young. Yeah, when I was like 9, Bryce was like 11, and this is when we started our first band. It was just like rock covers and stuff. We only played a handful of shows, but I mean, it was what got us started, so it was fun.
So
Right.
how old were you guys when you started learning your instruments? So Liam, you're the drummer, and Bryce, you're the guitarist, yeah, and both of you sing.
Yeah. So I'm the guitarist and vocalist, and Reece is the bassist and vocalist.
Okay, the bassist, yep. And so how old were you guys when you started learning?
Okay, yeah, I was 7 when I started playing guitar, and then for vocals, I didn't really do anything. Like I kind of would like scream for fun along to songs and stuff, but I didn't really start until we started doing stuff for Brutality. Even with Brutality, our first EP and our first bunch of songs were all instrumental anyway. So like we didn't even start right off the bat. But then once we started getting into like writing that type of music more, then we were like, well, instead of getting someone else to do it, like why don't I just set up a mic? Or why doesn't Reece start singing? I mean, he started singing before Brutality too. He'll tell you about that.
Yeah, I actually started out on guitar when I was about 7. My dad started me on guitar, but then I just moved to bass because I wanted to do something different, and it worked out well because Bryce and I wanted to be in a band, so it was just nice. Instead of 2 guitar players, I filled that bass slot. And then, like Bryce said, with vocals, with an earlier band, like I mentioned before, when we were much younger, we had vocalists kind of in and out, just commitment things. But Bryce and I were always like committed, and still are to this day. And so vocalists would kind of be in and out. And so we got to a point where we were like, I think we'd had 3 vocalists already, and we were kind of just like, where do we go from here? Do you want to just get another vocalist and then maybe run into similar problems? And so Bryce and I think we'd done backup vocals up to that point. And then I just started singing to some of the covers that we were doing. And then we started coming out with originals, and we were like, I don't know if we really need a singer. Like we could do this. And so now we do it.
That's awesome.
Metallica had the same story. Metallica had the same story exactly. Like Hetfield wasn't the singer in the beginning, but they couldn't find any better, so he just stick to this.
Yeah.
Nice. How was it to write the first own song, the first genuine own song?
Quite low.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, now back.
Yeah, so writing our first original song, that was a lot of fun. We would do that sometimes, like when we would do the covers, I would always kind of like come up with riffs and stuff. And even with our earlier bands, we had a few original songs, but it was like few and far between that we would write something that was our own, and even more far between when we would actually play it live. But once I started really getting into it more, then we decided like okay, we really want to be serious now. And then we found Liam, and we knew like, okay, from now on we just want to be 100% focused on the stuff that we write and making our own sound instead of playing other people's songs.
Right. I mean, you learned the instruments in a few years, you learned the songwriting, you learned headbanging, you learned everything like super quick in just a few years. It's really brilliant. It's really awesome. I mean, usually we interview bands who are like playing since 30 years or so, and they're still improving. Do you still learn? Do you still discover new things when playing your instruments?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm happy with on the bass for now, but I'm definitely interested in learning new instruments. But we're always like things because we're so young. And even though we've been listening to metal for, I mean, literally our whole lives, just there's constantly new music to discover. Like that's never going to run out. There's constantly going to be bands to discover. And so when you discover new bands, you have new influences and you have more creativity. So just different types of music that's always available, I know helps us and it influences our sound in a big way.
Uh-huh. Cool.
And how much has YouTube played a part in you guys learning your instruments? Because I guess you guys are a new generation. I know now when I want to learn something non-musical, I always turn to YouTube. Has YouTube played a role in your guys' evolution as musicians?
I do have like lessons and jam sessions with somebody, so I do have somewhat of like a structured thing that's not like YouTube learning, but even just like besides the hundreds of lessons that I've watched on YouTube and stuff, even just being able to see things that other people post on YouTube and like, oh, look at this song this guy wrote, or look at this run that this guy can do on guitar. Like YouTube is definitely a huge source for inspiration too.
Yeah, because it kind of shows you what's possible. And if you know that it's possible, then you're like, well, why can't I do that?
Exactly.
And you can. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and we watch, I mean, just from entertainment perspective on YouTube, we watch so many like just music entertainers on YouTube, which again just inspire us. And even in our YouTube channel, like we have an active YouTube channel, which we just see as, first of all, it's just really fun, and that's why we like to do it. We post like stupid, funny videos that are music related, but also because being like an up and coming band, I think it's really important to have an established social media presence. And so we're doing that with YouTube. And like I said, it's really fun and just getting inspiration from other like stupid, funny metal YouTubers. I know that has a big part in our YouTube presence.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, Michael, you found these guys through YouTube, didn't you?
I don't remember, Facebook or YouTube, one of those
Sure.
two.
Okay, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so it works.
Michael is
It definitely works.
YouTube lover founder.
Yeah.
What are you listening to? What's your favorite band nowadays?
I think we would both say that our favorite band is Mastodon. Even right now, I got the shirt and the banner behind me.
Cool.
Yeah, but I've actually been listening to a lot of like kind of different stuff lately. We have a bunch of playlists on Spotify. Like you can check out our Spotify account called BROTALITY, and we have a bunch of different playlists that we listen to all the time. Like there's one playlist on there that's called Brotality's Current Jams, and it has all the stuff that we've been listening to lately. We update it like every 2 weeks or something. And then we also have some playlists like, uplifting songs, or we just put one together that's songs that were inspiration for Worldwide Desolation. So if someone likes Worldwide Desolation, they can see where we were grabbing our influences from for that album. But yeah, I think our favorite band for right now is probably Mastodon.
Yeah.
I think personally for me too, definitely Mastodon, but another two major ones are Gojira. I've always loved Gojira. They might be my favorite band. They just dropped a new song too, and that new single's absolutely incredible. So Gojira, so Gojira and Opeth as well. I just recently got into Opeth, and they're incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like the lyrics of Gojira? Those kind of lyrics?
Yeah. I really do. Yeah, I actually take a lot of inspiration from their lyrics. First of all, I just think they're well written, but also that Gojira has this like environmental stance. A lot of their lyrics are about environmental destruction. Yeah, and so I love bands that take a stance like that about a certain subject, and Gojira does that amazingly, I think.
Did you go to any concert?
Right.
And what were the bands that inspired you to be a musician or to become musicians? Which were the bands or band?
That's a good one. I don't know. There's such a mix because, like I said, our parents would play tons of stuff for us. But I remember, like, the first one that comes to my head is probably As I Lay Dying. Our parents used to listen to them a ton. They were the first band that we ever got into like screaming music with. And we have this we have one of their like DVDs. It's a documentary about just like them. And I remember watching that over and over, and that was one of the first times that I really like saw like, this is what goes into touring, and this is how they're playing, and you get little snippets into them writing and talking about the band. And I always thought that was very like that was very influential to see all of that.
Yep.
Right. What's your town called? Where are you from exactly?
So we are from Narrowsburg, New York, in the United States, and our drummer Liam is from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I don't know if you've ever seen The Office, but that's where that's based.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How big is it? How many people live there?
Narrowsburg, it's tiny. We have like 2 stoplights in the town. I think there's like a few hundred people tops. It's very rural.
Right. And do you play live in the region as well? Do you have gigs there?
Yeah, we play a lot around us. There's not a lot of places in Narrowsburg, but we do play a ton around us. And where Liam lives in Scranton, there's a really good scene going on there, and we play a lot around there. But we play all around the Northeast United States as of right now. And this summer we're going to be doing some tours more across the United States and getting around the country to play more.
Cool.
Awesome.
When was the last gig?
Our last gig was, I think it was like March 13th or something. Like I think it was the next day. Well, March 13th of like a year ago.
Yeah.
And like the next day, everything got locked down. It was wild. But we got that one in before everything started going wild.
Right. Cool. Awesome. Do you get some recognition? Like, how do your friends react to you? I mean, regardless of the music style, you're achieving something really brilliant. You know, you can play, you do something, you move ahead. Do you get some admiration or some recognition from your friends and from your surroundings?
Yeah, I think, like I said before, like as I've grown older, I'm still in high school, but as I've gotten older, just in school, my friends now definitely get it more. And a few of them actually listen to it, which is surprising because, like I said, nowadays, kids just listen to rap basically. And so it's just cool to see them branch out and listen to our stuff. But yeah, people definitely respect it. And like I said, in my school nowadays too, I tell all my teachers, I'm like, hey, guess what? My band just dropped a new album. I don't know if any of them listen to it, but might as well tell them.
Cool. What does he say?
That sounds so cool as well.
Yeah. Absolutely, really awesome. And Bryce, you mentioned you have a scene there. You have actually a metal scene in your age group there as well.
Yeah, well, there is somewhat in our age group, but it's kind of hard to find. Like a lot of kids these days now just listen to like what's popular, and you definitely have some metalhead kids, but the people we play to is usually like a very diverse bunch. Like you get some people that are like old school metalheads, and then you get a lot of people that are really into the new stuff that are more towards our age. So we end up playing for a lot of different people.
Mm-hmm. Right, cool, cool. And what do you think about the old bands, like from 80s, 90s, this time zone?
Yeah, we definitely take a lot of inspiration from that. Like we like to bring that old school style into our sound a lot and like kind of call back to that. And
Mhm.
so you can hear a lot of influences from like old school Ozzy with Randy Rhoads or like Metallica, Ride the Lightning and Creeping Death,
Yeah,
riffs like that. Like we
yeah,
definitely like to pull a lot of inspiration from back there. I know Reece is a huge Striper and Rush fan. I love Thin Lizzy. We love to listen to a lot of those old bands too.
right, cool, cool. I mean, one of the things which interests me, like usually music you hear when it's getting older. Do you hear a difference when it's really old music or when it's from the 90s or 2000? You know, metal is very specific. Usually you don't, time has not such an impact on metal music. It sounds always like it could be done like yesterday, could have been done yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like some bands that were around in the 90s feel like they were way before their time, but in metal it's not even really that way. It's just like it ages really well. I think metal is
Yeah.
kind of like that in general. Like I don't know how many people go and listen to a lot of rap from like the early 2000s. I'm sure there's those people, but just in general, I think metal as a genre, I think it ages pretty well. And the classics, like the oldest stuff, is like has grown to be the most legendary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
right,
Yeah.
right.
They sound still pretty good, you know, the old school
Definitely.
metal that you hear.
Exactly.
Mm. Yeah, that's because there are not so many new bands, new awesome bands. You know, so that's because we heard about you and say, wow, this sounds really fresh. You know, like old school some music, but fresh.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Yeah, you
what
guys
have
have
you
some
got?
threshold.
What have you guys been doing the last year? So you guys are still at school. Was school online for you guys, or did you get to go to actual physical school?
Yeah. So, when everything got shut down, we were online. I was actually in my senior year of high school, so I was online to finish out high school, and then I was online for my first semester of college too. But now, still all my classes are online, but I'm at college right now. But for most of the time when we were online there, we wrote we had three of the songs of the album done before quarantine started. But once quarantine hit, we got a lot more free time and we wrote 9 of the songs on the album in quarantine and then recorded them all that summer. So writing the album was a huge thing. And we also did a lot of stuff like we're both big runners, so we got into running a lot. We built this huge mountain bike course all around our house during the quarantine. But yeah, the quarantine has given us a lot of free time to do something, and we like to make the best of that free time. And the album came out of it, which is awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have been very, very productive using that time wisely.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
And what you're studied now in the college?
I am a music industry and business economics major.
Wow, nice.
Oh, wow, wow.
You need to know that, you know, to manage the band and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very smart.
And what's your plan with that? Well, what's your strategy in life? How do you?
So I'm like full on, like let's make Brotality full-time touring, like playing the big shows and stuff. Like my number one goal
Oh
is
man.
just for Brotality as a priority, full-time touring musician. But the
Uh-huh.
music industry degree will obviously help a lot with knowing the music industry when we're in a situation like that. And the business economics degree is great because not many jobs look for a music industry degree. So the business economics is like very versatile, and it'll teach me how to run the band like a business so we can do it full time.
Yeah, right. You could start your
Oh,
own label actually.
Yeah. I've definitely been interested in that. Maybe one day we'll get that going. We would love that.
Right,
And Reese, what
right.
do you want to do?
I mean, just like Bryce said, brutality is the absolute plan A, number one. Like that's what we see ourselves doing. That's really the only thing I could see myself being like truly happy doing. So brutality is plan A, and we work like super hard every day, like regardless, to make that dream come true. Um, Other than that, something to supplement the band, or that would at least be some financial thing that would help brutality. So like a way that I could just say, if we're on the road, if we're touring, whether it's like writing articles or something, with a communications degree or something, or a journalism degree, doing something where I don't have to be in an office, but I could be on the road and doing my job, and earning an income that way, and then touring while we're doing that. So it's definitely band focused. I'm not 100%, but definitely something that would supplement brutality.
Yeah, well,
Cool.
there's a lot of opportunities now to work online, and I think the whole pandemic situation has showed people that they can work really from anywhere. So that's awesome, man. And I really want to see you guys see your band's name on like a tour poster in Europe. Like that would be so awesome to see you guys up there. I
Hey,
really wish you
South
guys
America
luck.
also. Hey,
Yeah,
Yeah, South America, yeah,
Fede
Australia as
organizes.
well.
Yeah, Fede organizes a festival in Argentina, in southern Argentina, Patagonia Rock Festival, and hopefully this year it will happen. So maybe we have you as a kickstart. That would be awesome to invite you to
Love
Argentina.
that.
Oh,
yeah,
really cool.
you must to guys, you must to check the map and see the end of the world. Where that's my house. Right there.
Yeah.
But you have no problem with the weather because you're in New York, so
Yeah.
much easier there.
Right. It's funny because you talk about the business. We talked to Chris Appleton a few weeks ago from Absolva from in Manchester, and the whole family is metal. You know, they organize their own music festival. Daddy is managing the record label.
Record
It's a
label.
whole metal business, 100% metal business. It's actually funny, and it can work out pretty well, I think. Yeah.
Do you
And
have
now, yeah.
also that relationship with the record label? How is your relationship?
Yeah, so right now we're signed to Rottweiler Records, and it has been amazing so far. There's like this brotherhood, and it's called the Pack, and all the bands are so supportive of each other. Like, there's never any like competition, like, oh, your song's doing better than mine or anything. Like, everybody truly wants each other and each other's songs to do as good as possible. Everybody really wants the best for each other. So having that support system with all the help and just having all these other people in bands and just that are enthusiastic about metal, it's been awesome.
Yeah, metal spirit, man.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah, all around the world. Yeah. Specific question: how do girls react to you guys when you come up with long hair and metal stuff? How was the reaction?
A lot of people dig the hair.
Right, cool. Awesome. Yeah, nowadays it's even more special than when we had been young, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So, and what's your plan? You want to tour? Do you have a chance to tour to Europe? I mean, when the pandemic is over, did you have offers, or do you have a possibility to tour worldwide?
So we in 2020, our plan was to go on our first like full on tour. We had a bunch of festivals booked around the United States, heading out into the middle of it, and that was going to be our first big run. But that got bagged. But it's
Mm.
all scheduled for this summer, though, if that can happen, which would be incredible. So we're going to be going on a nice tour into the Midwest of the U.S. and then up around the Northeast a bunch. And so that'll be our first full outing, which we are super, super stoked about, because that's been our dream since we've like seen that As I Lay Dying documentary way back when we were 4 or whatever. But
Yeah,
yeah, so we're gonna tour around the US this summer if all of that can happen safely. But as soon as we get the chance, if we were able to go into Europe or South America or Australia, like we're gung ho. We'll play any show. Just as long as we're playing live, we're good with it.
You know that I was talking with the guys just before you connect, And we remember about Alain Whiperney, which is a band from New Zealand. They're pretty young guys also, and then starting to tour all over the world. Like 3 years ago or something, and they are quite big. You know,
That's awesome. Like
yeah,
we'd love to do something like that.
yeah.
So have you?
It's
Do you
like
guys?
every night gigs. Every night touring,
Mhm.
touring, touring, and
Yeah.
you have the age and enthusiasm to do it.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
So do you guys connect well? Do you guys connect with other young bands around the world through social media and like, build up your network of bands and connections? Like, have you started doing that with your stuff?
Yeah, so we're actually we know a lot of bands through social media like that, and that's one of there's definitely downsides of social media. We even have a song about that, but that's one of the great things. Like we can connect to people. Like Reese and I have some people who we talk to all the time that live hours away from us. We haven't even met them before, but we're always sending back and forth like tracks and working on writing stuff with each other. And we know
That's
other
cool.
bands across the country and all this different stuff. So social media has definitely been great like that because there's these connections that I don't think ever would have happened without it.
Oh, for sure. And just the collaboration opportunities as well. Like you could, never meet a band, like collaborate with a band in Germany, send over a vocal track or a guitar solo, and then,
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's
yeah,
awesome.
it is awesome.
Yeah,
I'm
cool.
checking, the t-shirt and stuff. Do you still practice some sports? Because I saw you playing like basketball in your videos.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, we're not great I mean, Reese is pretty good at basketball, but none of us play basketball. But Reese and I are actually very into running. Like Reese runs for our high school. I run for the college that I go to. So yeah, we're big into that. Liam started playing football, so he's super into that. So sports are a big part of our life too. But I think we'd all say second to brutality.
Right. But just to keep
Right.
healthy, so that's it.
Yeah.
How did you find Liam, by the way?
Yeah, so we were actually down where Liam lives, around the Scranton, Pennsylvania area. There was the studio where Reese and I had recorded before, and Liam had recorded there separately, and the studio owner knew Liam's dad, and the person who owned the studio wanted to do a project to promote the studio, like everybody record a song and it'll go out for some promo. And the song was actually I Want You to Want Me by Cheap Trick, and it never even ended up coming out, but he got Reese and I in there for the day and Liam in there for the day to record the song. And yeah, the song was never published or anything, but we met Liam that day and then we knew we had to keep jamming with him.
Cool. Nice.
Cool.
Three guys is enough, or you look for somebody else?
Yeah, yeah, we're good with three guys right now. We love the three-piece energy. I mean, sometimes I think it'd be sick to rip a dual guitar solo with somebody, but I like the three-piece energy a lot more.
Cool. Nice.
Yep.
Perfect then.
How's to be in the band with a brother? It's like you are living together all the time together, practicing and writing.
Yeah, it makes it, I mean, it's a lot more fun, first of all, but also like, wow, it makes it so much like we're able to be a lot more productive. Um, right now, Bryce is in his dorm at college,
Hmm.
so we're not like living together at this moment. But like all through quarantine, we were, and only till like a month ago or so. And during all that time, like the first couple years of brutality, and even now still, it's just that chemistry. Like we literally, like we said, since we were each like 7, have been doing this together. So for like over half of our lives. And so just like almost every day, like, hey, check out this riff. Awesome. Check out this riff. Check out this vocal melody. Let's go downstairs. Let's figure out a vocal melody for this part. And then Liam comes to us with drums and we all work on that. And it just helps. Like, I feel like the songs come together so much easier and a lot faster too, because again, it's just constantly saying, what do you think of this riff? And even now, even though Bryce is away, he's sending me videos and how do you like this riff? And I'll send him the lyrics to a song that I was thinking of, and he'll give me feedback on that, and we FaceTime about it. So just having that like relationship, it just helps brutality so much, and it's like such a staple. So I mean, it's amazing.
And if we weren't
And
brothers, we'd have to think of
yeah.
a different name too. So
Yeah, who came up with the name?
we actually were all kind of brainstorming together. I don't remember whose mouth it came out of first, but it was the product of a brainstorm session. We were like, oh, we're brothers, and Liam's like an honorary brother, and we love brutal music, so let's call it Brotality.
Yeah, and we wanted
Nice.
to do something too that wasn't like what a lot of bands' names are nowadays, if that makes sense. Like, we didn't want the name to be forgettable. We didn't want it to just be like, oh yeah, that sounds metal. Cool, we'll go with it. Like, we wanted to be very passionate about the name. We wanted there to be like a meaning behind it. We didn't want it to just sound cool. And we also like, we love band names like Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax. Those one word band names.
Yeah.
I just think they're so cool. And all those bands have the killer logos that just like stick out to you no matter what. And so since I think our music is kind of a callback to more classic music, because we're influenced by a lot of like classic bands like I just mentioned, we wanted a band name that was representative of that. And so I think Brotality is just a fun, awesome name.
Yeah, and even
Yeah,
if
it's a
someone
cool
doesn't
name.
like it, they'll never forget it.
No, exactly.
Yeah, no, very awesome. Cool.
Also, your parents participate in that brainstorming.
Yeah, I think they were part of the brainstorm session. They are always infinitely supportive, and they help us out so much. We couldn't do it without them. They're a huge part in helping us out, and they're just ridiculously supportive of us.
And do they play any instruments themselves, or did they when they were younger?
My mom used to play the organ, but my dad is the only one who still plays, and he used to play guitar a lot more. Now he plays bass all the time, so Reece and him jam a lot.
Yeah, nice. Cool.
Yeah.
So that's a
Okay,
family
awesome. So
keep together all the day. It's like music family, just enjoying. every
Yeah.
single second.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
Do you have
exactly.
another brothers or sisters?
No, it's just us.
Hmm.
Do you
otherwise,
think
it would be
maybe?
band members.
Do you think maybe you could go on tour with your mum and dad, like two bass guitarists and an organ player, just for
There
a
you
one-off
go.
show?
There you go. Yeah, that'd be great.
Jamming some covers.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be a great road tour actually. Going into Europe, I mean, in the United States, you can't even drink legally yet, right?
And,
So 21 years on, right, in the United States.
Yeah.
Like, you go to Bavaria in Germany, we start with 13, 15 around, to get drunk. and there, so wow. Do you go out? Do you go to parties and stuff?
we don't
Not really.
we don't really go to parties and stuff, and mostly just because that's not really our scene, and also because we're so busy with Brotality. Again, it's like a full-time job, but it's not a job because we absolutely love doing it and we never want to stop. But yeah, we don't really, we do extracurricular stuff. Like I said, we do track. We have other passions, of course, but we're very, and thanks to our parents for like instilling this mindset in us, but we're very like motivated and just productive minded people. I'd like to think. And so even when we're not doing something that's super productive, we still want to be doing something that's productive. And so we're always like Brotality minded. And so I think that that's really just our lives. So we don't really have time, and we're happy about it, but we don't really have time for just other stuff like that.
Wow, 100% professional, and it shows.
Thank you.
And your parents aren't critical? Like, your parents don't tell you sometimes, okay, maybe you should do some other business or learn some other job or take another career? No, 100% supportive. Cool.
Yeah, they're 100,000% supportive. Like they always have been. Like Bryce said, I know it sounds cheesy, but like we literally could not have done it without them. Like this album would not have been out without them. Where we are now wouldn't be where we are without them. So yeah, like 100% support all the time. They're like our like business people in the band. So like they help us with all those decisions with like marketing and getting gigs and communications and social media. all that stuff. Like they're 100% supportive. They've said before that they're willing to really do anything to like help us get on the road and, you know, achieve our dreams. So, I mean, we're so grateful for that.
Hey guys,
Wow,
who collaborates with you with the art of the album?
So yeah, that album art was actually done. So Liam's mom is an art teacher, and she referred us. She said one of her greatest students that ever came through her art program. She said Antonia Milas is her name. So we reached out to her, and she wanted to do something with us, and the album art came out of it, and we are just ridiculously happy with that.
Wow,
Yeah,
nice.
cool. Everything comes together. Awesome, great.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to add?
So
Reece told something about passion. You know, how do you feel about that, Bryce? Passion for
About
brutality or music.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm so passionate about it. It's my number one thing that I love to do. Yeah, this is all I can see myself doing in the future. Like when I try to picture where I'll be in 10 years, all I can picture is being Brutality full time. Like whenever I'm not doing schoolwork that's due or something, it's always working on Brutality riffs or doing Brutality promotion. Like 100% of my time goes into that. And it's because I am and we are so incredibly passionate about it.
Awesome.
I have a question. Just what is your next immediate goal for Brutality? So milestone that you want to achieve or goal that you want to achieve. The next one for you guys.
Yeah, I think well, one of them, because again we have a lot of goals, but like one that we're working on now is another album. Just getting albums under our belt. Like a long-term goal of mine is to like be one of those bands that looks back and has like a plus album career. Those are like my favorite bands, and there's just so much to dive into. And so because of that goal, that ultimate goal, we're always writing. We have 8 songs roughly down for our next album, even though our first album just came out.
Yeah.
So we're looking to record sometime relatively soon, and then get that album
Cool.
out. Because again, we're a young band, we're a new band, and I think it's important to constantly be releasing new music for fans. So I think a next goal that's kind of coming relatively soon, if you talk about like 2-year spans that most bands have in albums, sophomore album.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's
Brilliant.
that, and then as soon as it's safe to do so, playing shows. Album and
Yeah. That's awesome. Best of luck to you guys on both of those goals and your long-term goal.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your
Yes.
time, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you so much for having us.
It was awesome talking to you guys. Good luck with everything.
Great
You
to
too.
talk to you. Thank you guys.
Hope to
Thanks,
see you
guys.
soon touring somewhere.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yes.
See
Definitely.
you soon.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.